Most of the guns used were what you call muzzle loaders. And so I'm going to show some muzzle loading, fast muzzle loading. And you got to remember, these people were running around and screaming and fussing. They didn't agree with the Mormons, and so they decided they'd try and leave. After the Mormons had them marching, but some things went wrong. And the way I had to reload these guns will indicate how long this could have taken. The Mormons indicate it was all over in a few minutes, and I just don't agree. Because you're going to miss some shots. Some things are going to go wrong. Someone's going to come at you. Some people aren't going to fire. Out of these roughly 60 men here, it wouldn't surprise me if 10 didn't fire, but I'm sure 5 or so didn't fire. So let's look at some videos of reloading your gun after you've just killed somebody and you've got all the time and the nonchalance to do this, not being under stress. Now, John D. Lee says he was under stress, and he almost shot McMurdy. So if John D. Lee can feel a little stressed, maybe some of the other guys were, but I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say it was easy pickings and there wasn't a lot of resistance. But when you add all these numbers up and you have to repeatedly shoot these people, these guns, some were powerful, most of them weren't. Most of them these days, they'd piss you off. You get hit by one, it piss you off. But not the big ones. So I'm just saying, I know all the guns weren't big, but we're going to assume a couple shots per person had to be done. You had to go around and make sure everyone was dead before you stripped the bodies naked and stuck your hands inside the body cavities to get all the jewelry and stuff out. It's going to be 1860. Watch how long it takes to reload.
The idea being not to shoot individual targets, but now putting mass lead to break a hole in that human wall. This basic concept can be modified in several different ways. It can be done in what was known as firing by file, so we can keep a constant rolling fire, firing by ranks, or whatever necessary by the officer in charge to determine that's going to be best used in the fire! We just created, once it was built into them, eventually they would get to the point where merely the command load would be given. They would each go through the motions without knocking each other over, and as quickly, effectively as possible, load their muskets. And the more rapid, the more discipline they showed in doing this, the more effective they would be. It was not about the technology, not any more than it is today. It was about the human element and how effective they were in applying that technology, how disciplined they were, and how strong their resolve was. Again, with the idea of being able in their human role.
I'm satisfied that this is the California Road, which extends further down this way, which is on another video. That being the case, for 2,325 yards, to be here, you get on this side of the highway, or if you were to swing an arc up here, which I'm going to do next, you wind up here, which is a turnout. I've said that before. The road doesn't seem to go here, but at some point it has to cross over. So let's do that. Road 2,325 yards, or here. So these are the choices. The road does extend this way. Now I'm going to shoot this line further up. This is where we just were. Here. Women were buried at 2,895. Now there's a small ravine here. And to get to this ravine here is to go back that 560 yards. You know, that's a nice long run. Yeah, that's a full 3/8 of a mile. Now I've seen some indication of people wanting to place the men further down, but you can't follow Carlton's report and come out there. It just doesn't wash. You know, 600 yards basically, almost. And you're at 6,000 feet. So even if you're running all the way back up here to say goodbye to Daddy, it's going to take a while. You're just not used to it. You're not going to run this out in say some 60 seconds in a quarter mile. That's a very fast run. So realistically, you're looking at 3 to 4 minutes of sprinting to get up here and be blood atoned. So they were strung out in a line, and the only issue I have is that the Indians are hiding in the bushes, and there's just not a lot of bushes. Now this area has been burned repeatedly over the years. I'm assuming it has to have been burned on this side. It has to have been burned. I know it's been burned over here. So that's kind of obscuring our understanding of what's going on. The only other thing you can do is to swing this line over and you wind up in this area. But the California Road, I think, did cross this. Regardless if it was down here, it had to cross over. If you're anywhere down in here, that's about 200 yards almost short of being up in here. Right in here. Or over in here. Now, they were strung out. And they were heaped up, but the numbers are for the grave sites. So, it's in this area. Those are the numbers. You can't get down here. I'm not saying people weren't killed here, but those numbers are for the grave sites. So this is what Bagley uses, and I think it's based on what Josiah Gibbs and some others have shown. But it doesn't work. That's only maybe 3/4 of a mile. And the rim of the basin's up here, not down here, and inside it's on this side. Lee describes how they're arrayed in his confession. It says, about this time our wagon passed out of sight of the troops, Mormon troops, over the hill. This forms the rim of the basin. I had disobeyed orders in part by turning off as I did, for I was anxious to be out of sight of the bloody deed. So after they're all done, now they got to clean up the mess and get what they want. Higbee, we must now examine the bodies for valuables. That means putting your hands in the body cavities after you stripped the bodies naked. This party was wealthy and they had reason to believe there was gold. Then they dismantled these wagons, the big wagons, and you take this wood, and if you have gold in there, that wood is going to feel sort of lopsided, or you'll look for the ends of it to see if something's been hollowed out. Yeah. One horse, One-Eyed Blaze, was $2,000. Now, an average wage back then was about $500 a year, so that was 4 years' wage for a horse. Fancher had at least $4,000 in gold and probably more. And there's other stories. So, when they killed these people with these muskets, then they had to strip the bodies down and then search the bodies and remove whatever they found inside the bodies, cast the bodies aside, gather up all this clothing. I'll tell you something else they did. They'd already scoped them out in Arkansas and followed them all the way out. I'm just telling you that. And O.P. Rockwell, in my opinion, was part of that, in part, because he was running the mail back and forth.